Okay, so today we're going to be talking about reading, writing, and math. Some facts about struggling with reading. Reading is an important academic skill and the foundation for all academic learning. 1 in 5 students are likely to have trouble learning to read. 80% of students who are identified as special education will have deficits in reading. If appropriate instruction is begun early and periodic follow-up remedial help is given as needed, many children can be prevented from developing the emotional overlay of the failure syndrome, and children from low-income homes are particularly at risk for educational failure, so providing quality preschools is beneficial for them. Some characteristics of children who may have trouble reading in the future. There are several indicators that tend to appear among young children in kindergarten and first grade levels, typically who have trouble learning to read. The following is some early warning signs. If the child talked late or had delayed speech at age 2, if they have trouble communicating or showing problematic speech patterns such as dropping final consonants and mispronouncing common words, if they're difficult to understand when they speak, if they cannot rhyme, if they have trouble singing songs or repeating simple nursery rhymes, or they do not know the names for common objects or are slow to recall information. A balanced reading literacy program should include the following things. Should read to children, have a shared book and writing experience and talk about that. Phonemic awareness training, organized explicit phonics decoding instruction and practice, oral language development and listening experience, systematic vocabulary development, guided reading with attention to comprehension, individualized reading lessons with attention to the construction of meaning, sustained silent reading, and modeling of writing skills and techniques. Phonemic awareness is the understanding that spoken words and syllables are made up of the sequences of speech sounds and that it is possible to tease out or isolate these sounds in order to assist oneself in spelling and writing. This is a powerful predictor of suggesting learning to read. If they are not able to do this, they may be a sign for them having difficulty in reading in the future. Children with phonemic processing problems may have trouble with counting the syllables in a word, sounding out words when reading aloud, spelling out loud and on paper, separating a word into its smallest sound parts, for example, bat, B-A-T, bat, and learning to spell new words. There are some steps for teaching reading to students with learning disabilities. You can convince the child that you can teach them to read. If the child believes that they're never going to learn to read, then they're not going to read because they're already in that mindset. So convince the child that you can teach them how to read. Discuss and note what kind of rewards the child prefers, so give them like a incentive. Step 3, determine what the child does and does not know. Step 4, use the wide range achievement test or a similar word test or the word test from the Peabody Individual Achievement Test to determine the level of word recognition. The next step would be to use nonsense words, determine whether the child can blend sounds into words they have never seen before. Example, lub, you would think of tub, or thought, think of got. Step 6 would be to listen to the child read at their own independent reading level. Step 7 would be to analyze the data, and Step 8 would be to make a plan. Now, in the classroom, you should introduce word walls. Word walls serve as a visual index as a motivator. Add words as they are taught in both spelling and decoding. Continue to add words as the year progresses. Do a daily review of the word wall to remind the students of all the words they have studied. You should also have some posters in your classroom and discuss about word families and word clones. Introduce the concept that when we spell, not every word is a new word, and that we can look within the words for clumps that we already know. You can hang charts with rhyming words, word families in the classroom. So, for example, if you go to the AB word family, you have words like grab, crab, dab, drop, drab, So they all have the AB ending, or you have words that all end in IT in the purple on this poster, like bit, quit, sit, spit, and this can provide a visual thing for students to look at and get an idea and a better understanding. So how to work with an emerging reader? To become a proficient reader, one must read every day. So daily practice time needs to be about 30 minutes or can be broken into 3 10-minute sessions. Following the reading, the children might go back to their desks and answer simple questions about what they read as a pair in groups of 2 or 3. Later the same day, ask the child to reread the same material for about 10 minutes and then ask the parent to listen to the child read the same material for 10 minutes later that evening. This procedure increases fluency in their reading. Introduce the concept of the silent E that makes the preceding vowel give the long sound. Explain to the child that by telling them the E is a bully, he reaches over and tells the preceding vowel that he has to say its name or gets hit on the head. So example, cane. The E is silent, you have to make the A say its name, cane. Use, feed, saying the E, slide, eyed, cute. A lesson plan for teaching a reading skill. One reading skill that students should learn to do is to draw conclusions and answer and give information that they read from the text. You can give the student a short story to read and then give them a worksheet about questions that follow the stuff that they read. And you can eventually expand on this and have students draw predictions based on what they read from the text as well. Spelling simply refers to a student's ability to create words that are grammatically correct, but is often used to judge a student's writing ability. And that's not always accurate. Spelling and expressing one ideas in print are often 2 different processes. A child with severe dyslexia may never learn to spell from memory and will always rely on spell check or digital reminders, and yet that child may grow into a person who writes a book. Ways to assist students with spelling. You can give students a packet of spell activities to do during the week and then include that with the list of words that they should focus on that week. And in the spelling activities, you can include stuff like syllabicate and color code. So break the words into the syllables and then have them write the vowels in red or trace the vowels in red and consonants in green. Have them write a sentence using each spelling word to do configuration exercises. So students visualize the word's shape to place it in the correct configuration, give them different size boxes, and they match the word into the boxes. Do dot-to-dot letter practice, where they write each word using dots, put the words in alphabetical order, write word letters on graph paper, and the example would be L on one line for large. So L, move down LA, move down LAR, move down LARG, move down LARGE, and then you can go up or down for each of your words. And then give them a spelling test at the end of the week to check their progress. Spelling methods. One day, introduce 4 words. So example, the, boy, can, and go, one at a time. Each word should be written carefully on a separate index card. Use the following text reads with each word. Display the word card on the board. Say the word. When pronouncing the word the, tell children that most people do not pronounce the word carefully. Instead, they say the. Instruct the student to say the so they can hear each sound. The reason for this is that so they can move smoothly on to related words such as then, them, and these. Have students repeat the word. And then have the students spell the word, so they say T-H-E spells the. Ask students to repeat what you just said. Talk about how to produce the TH sound, which involves 2 steps. The first step would be to stick out the tongue about a ½ inch with teeth on top of it and 2 blowing air over the tongue. So, Have students watch your mouth as you slowly say th and Ask them to repeat it slowly as you point to the TH and then to the E on the word card. Have students repeat the phrase THE says the 3 times as you point to the letters. Then have students write the word 3 times as they say the letters. Tell individual students that are having trouble to close their eyes and put their fingers in their ears and spell the word. By doing so, they are removing visual and auditory distractions. Repeat the same process for the following days and adding on each of the words. So how to teach handwriting. Teacher or parent of a young learning disabled child should provide the child with daily experiences in practicing handwriting. By demonstrating how to make letters, you should start with this. As you demonstrate, point out to the child where to begin each letter. Students' papers should include several trace examples before they are instructed to trace the letter freehand. Many students with learning disabilities are not ready to abandon printing at the mid-second or early 3rd grade level, so if a student is barely reading at this point, it is unwise to introduce them and shift them to cursive. Most learning disabled students will pick up the idea of putting a space between each word just because the teacher reminds them to do so countless times during the first 3 grades. There are, however, a few hardcore cases where you must do something dramatic to teach a skill. So an example to teach the skill for the students that are just not getting it, make a small paper red square and require the child to place it in between each word as they write. On the first day, have someone sit with the student to make sure they are following the direction. It is important to realize that some students with learning disabilities will have continual trouble with the concepts of grammar and sentence structure. So what you can do to teach a writing skill, remember writing is an important skill for all students. You can help students improve their writing abilities by providing them opportunities to free write. Put out a small chunk of time of the day, about 10 minutes example, where students can take out a notebook or a piece of paper and just write about whatever comes to mind. You can also offer a daily prompt to students if they choose to write about that instead. You can also do lessons that cover topics such as descriptive writings as well. And in this, you can have students describe in a lot of details about a certain object or event without having them actually mention what it is and have other students guess it. Young children come to school with varying degrees of readiness to learn math. Some children can accurately count to 20, recognize some or all mathematical symbols, and even count actual sets of objects. A lot of these students have had preschool experiences with blocks, figures, and various shapes. Other young children have not had the benefit of preschool nor a wide range of experiences, and they are not quote-unquote ready. If you have a class of young students with learning disabilities, check their IPs. You may find their mental age to be less than their chronological age. Such children are not ready to formal math teaching, so the curriculum needed will represent that of a nursery where they're going back to the basics of learning shapes and numbers. Many learning disabled students have visual perceptual deficits. This is not uncommon. It is not uncommon for a 19-year-old with a visual perceptual score of the age of 5. It is common to observe that the student has difficulty when writing numbers, often reversing them. The students do not grasp the meaning of the words set or group, so they do not see objects in a picture unless someone colors a border around the set and talks to them about the items inside the border. Students cannot accurately count without physically moving manipulatives from one side of their desk to the other. Students cannot see 4 lines forming as a square, and earlier students cannot line up columns of numbers, so they may need graph paper in order to keep the columns of numbers straight.